Hello, welcome to my channel. This morning I wanted to briefly chat about Chaturanga Pushups. I've mentioned Chaturanga in the past. I have a video. I'll place that down there. Why is that important? Well, as a teacher of over 6 years, one of the things that, of course, I've often try to guide my students in is keeping their arms parallel. So a chaturanga is super important for your whole entire practice because we move through vinyasa all the time while practicing, and a main portion of your vinyasa is a chaturanga. Even if you're going all the way to the ground, even if you're on your knees, you have to bend your elbows at 90 degrees, right? That's why I'm creating this little video right now about Chaturanga Pushups and why it's important. Okay, so, all right, and another bit. So many other things that I talk about, you can do whenever, wherever. Let's say you work from home, just grab your mat and do things for a few minutes a day. The more you practice something, the more intuitive it'll become, and you'll be better at it, and you'll just feel like it's a normal thing to do. Whenever I learn a new skill, if I learn a new inversion or a new arm balance, all I want to do is practice that all the time. So if you're learning for your body to do something a certain way, the more you practice it, the more it will become intuitive. And of course, muscle memory, right? So your body will remember how to do it the more you practice. Okay, so one more little story. I started out in my yoga practice, my yoga journey began in Ashtanga. So that was probably around 2001 until 2003. So a bunch of years ago. And then, so I practiced Ashtanga yoga for 2 years. And then the studio I was practicing with moved out of state, so they left. They had a couple of local locations, then they left, and I didn't really know where to go. And then I had my kids, and my kids were little, and so for a few years I wasn't practicing anywhere. And then I found a local studio, which is where I also trained for my teacher training. And when I restarted my yoga journey, a lot of the things that I remembered from before, the transitions from Warrior 1 to Warrior 2, the sequences of flows, they were all from Ashtanga because that's what I had learned. And that was in my muscle memory, even though consciously, I'd had kids. My kids were little toddlers or little children growing up, and that was all that I was focusing on, right? So once you change your daily life, and you sometimes can't even remember, what your body remembers and what your body knows, but your body remembers things, your body knows things. The more skills you can give your body, the more rewards you will have later on and just in your daily life. This isn't just about your yoga practice. So when I give you these little skills and I teach you these little pieces, these are just for your overall health. Of course, they will also help you in your practice, but that's ultimately your goal should be just to be healthy, to be able to move, to be able to do things. And maybe it's to improve your yoga practice. Maybe it's to learn a fun arm balance. Maybe it's to go upside down. Maybe you've been scared of going upside down, and I can give you this self-confidence to go upside down. Whatever that might be. I'm a trainer in my daily job. In my daily job, I'm a trainer for a software company. And so I translated that into becoming a yoga teacher over 6 years ago. So it's all connected. I'm always training people on doing things. And this is, of course, my love. So here we go. Chaturanga push-ups. They're different than regular push-ups. So a chaturanga push-up, your hands are by your lower ribs, right? So the goal here is to have that 90-degree bend. When you're setting up, I have these 2 blocks on the mat. The blocks are there. They're shoulder width apart. The blocks are there to guide us in the height of our chaturanga, so shoulder width apart on their highest setting. That should help you. You place your hands behind the blocks and you set up so that Your shoulders are stacked over your wrists. If your shoulders are way back here, then walk your feet forward. I say this every day when we go through Chaturanga. Shoulders are stacked over the wrists. And now what you're going to do is you're going to bend your elbows. You're bending your elbows. You can tap your shoulders on the blocks. And then you come into upward facing dog. When you come in up dog or Urdhva Mukha, you're pressing your hands into the floor. The tops of your feet are pressing into the floor. You glance up, make sure that this is helping you open up. So you're not going to have your thighs on the ground, right? You're actually pressing your hands into the floor, the tops of your feet. And if you feel congested here, walk those feet forward. So you're opening your heart. Glance up, take an inhale. And as you exhale, roll over your feet, downward dog. Okay? So that's that tiny little bit. So let's do that again. So let's look at Chaturanga. Why is the Chaturanga important? Because that is your foundation and it allows you to open up your shoulders, right? So here we are, shoulders stacked over the wrists. Lower down halfway. Maybe inhale back up. You can do these little Chaturanga push-ups. As you're doing these push-ups, you're keeping your you're keeping your form, engage your core. And sometimes you can add 3 Chaturanga push-ups as part of your vinyasa. So you can build your shoulder core strength. So your shoulder core is super important. That's really a yogic term. Shoulder core isn't something that you can find in an anatomy book, but it's your shoulders, right? So it's the front and the back. And it allows you to keep your asana in a good shape. That's about it for today. So this is a short little video on Chaturanga, a little history of where I came from to teaching. And then during the pandemic, this has become my studio. So here we are. Welcome to my studio.